Hi everyone, I'm going to present my 3.2 progress. So a lot of these things are the same, so quickly go over those and then highlight on the new topic. So this is a new rendering, just kind of everything I have going on, added in some shading and passive systems in this module, as well as some technology and innovations. Again, just going through, we're in Austin, Texas. We're on the east side. This is just highlighting where we are. Historic 6 Square, going over some of the history there and why I picked this location, and then digging in, highlighting the exact location that will be, talking about the zoning, planning, easements, and everything about that area and what used to be on the site and how that's evolved over time. The site opportunities that I had, um, going into this and kind of the thoughts and ideas for a community center, affordable housing, how that kind of looks. And then the site context plan, just kind of showing a zoomed out view of everything. The site is in gray. And then if we zoom in a little bit, just showing what's on the current site, showing the site section before building on it, the final iteration of what is intended use is, and then hopping into some of the more updated things, the 3D program concept diagram, just showing the spaces and the flow. First floor, second floor, kind of going into the different areas. And then second floor, we're highlighting here a couple of the callouts that we will blow up in the next slide. And it's just showing the different type of buildings. The main point here is that sunlight, we want to have adequate sunlight into all of the units, and some of the units face a hallway, which then face the glazing system. So still with those units, there are windows kind of up above to maintain that privacy, but to still let ventilation and light into those spaces. And then obviously every unit backs up to like an exterior wall that goes right outside. So there's 3 different units, the studio, 1 bedroom, and 2 bedroom. And these are just kind of some of the rendered views that I developed over the past few weeks. One showing the community center on the first floor, kind of looking out, and then one showing one of the units. So the structure is mass timber and concrete. And then just going up in floor plan, these are pretty similar to what they were last time. Showing some of the passive design strategies through climate consulting. Kind of what we're concerned about is obviously the heat and how we can use the wind of Austin to naturally ventilate our building. So the most important things that it highlighted were shading, obviously, to try and shade the site, have as much ventilation as possible, and then reduce internal heat gain. So in order to do that, these are the passive systems that I came up with. So having a green roof, offering benefits, mitigating the urban heat island effect, providing the insulation, improving efficiency, and it kind of just has that thermal layer, makes it harder to heat up the building so quickly. The shading louvers that are placed on the residential windows, they're on the west and south side where we get the most sun or unwanted sun that heats up the building. And then on the north and east side are operable windows that kind of let the ventilation go through. And like I talked about before, the materials used are mass timber, steel, concrete, sustainable to put the building together. And then ventilation, again, all windows are able to be slid open with the glass doors, as you can see is happening on the retail floors. It can also happen on the residential floors. And then the glazing are all double pane, low E glass to kind of, again, try and keep out as much heat as possible. This is just showing kind of a diagram of the section of this, showing, how the sun comes off, bounces off those louvers, and then how the green roof also provides extra protection doing this. And then jumping a little bit more into the sections, just kind of showing where the main structure is, how that goes through with the columns and the exterior shell of the building. and then a different view of the section. Again, just showing a different angle, how that cuts through, and then zooming into some of the details. So on the left is just showing that first section, the detail, explaining the side wall and how that's kind of broken up with the louvers and the windows and kind of the structure going through. And then the right, the second section showing the green roof and how that's kind of split up and how that works. The structural concept, it's really just showing where those columns are cutting through and how that works throughout the flow of the building. So level 1, kind of on the exterior walls, and level 2 overhangs a little bit. So as you can see, they fall in different spots of the units. And then going into the exploded ISO, this is really explaining a lot of information, some of which is the like technology and innovation. So having those smart home features. So when the sun is at different angles in the sky, the louvers on the shading, the windows change based off of where that sun is hitting to try and shade most accurately. And it also will inform users of their energy efficiency and how much consumption is being used. And then the sun design, again, shading louvers put on those specific windows. And then I just highlighted the material, the building system and materials from the green roof to the timber structure, the columns, and the shading louvers. And on the right side, it just goes through a quick precedent study of something in Australia that uses kind of a similar design for energy efficiency. And then we've seen these are just regular sections of the units. And then this is one last little rendering of kind of the idea. So having that mass timber structure with the concrete, the steel, and a lot of vegetation for sustainability.